If you're the kind of person that has decided already that you don't qualify to learn mindfulness because your mind and your life could never be an oasis of calm, you're exactly the kind of person that I want to watch my YouTube video on mindfulness. I've wanted to make a video called Mindfulness for the Masses for a long time. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to read some corresponding ideas, you can find the article on my website at vibranthealthcompany.com. I decided to make this video because when I'm working with clients, many of them feel that they somehow don't qualify to learn mindfulness. It's often confused with meditation, and people will say, well, there's no way that I'm going to meditate. I don't have time for that. So I wanted to bust some myths about mindfulness in this video today, and then have you go to the article to read more about it. It's important to understand that mindfulness does not bring us immediately into this peaceful oasis. Mindfulness is not about emptying the mind of thoughts. Actually, nothing could be farther from the truth. Mindfulness is really about finding that space in ourself that is pure consciousness or awareness. This awareness helps us to understand that our thoughts, emotions, preoccupations, things that happen to us, things that are going on in the environment, are all things that can be observed from a space that is separate, and that space is called the self. We're highly conditioned to think that the self is fused somehow with what we think and what we feel. And we know that actually what we think and feel, these are just mechanisms through which information passes and gets sorted out by our unconscious beliefs, our subconscious, and our conscious mind. So in summary, mindfulness gives us the ability to step back from all of the physical world to really be introspective with ourselves. And often the self is not quiet. The mind is not calm. The mind is not vacant. Mindfulness helps us to sharpen our attention and really pay attention to what's going on both inside and outside. And of course, the million-dollar question is, if mindfulness is so great, how do I find it? With my clients, what I do, first of all, is start to teach them a breathing practice and some cognitive behavioral therapy. It's good for you to research and Google these approaches so that you can begin to understand how to separate yourself from your thinking brain. But once you have that, ultimately what I want you to do to find your mindfulness is think about a time in your life when you were really in the moment, when you felt very vital, when you did feel joy, and when you were acutely aware of your surroundings. For some people, this might be standing and looking at the lake. For another person, this might be picking that first ripe tomato from their garden. There's all kinds of experiences that we have as human beings where we feel absolutely alive in our skin. That is an example of what it is to be mindful, because in those moments, we're not thinking about what it is to be alive. We're simply experiencing that. So how do we find that when we're so preoccupied with work or school, with our partners, with our pets, with our kids? You know, how are we going to try to cultivate those moments of feeling more alive? How do we find that mindful self in this physical world? How do we connect to ourselves as spiritual beings? So there is actually a physical practice that I teach people, and we start to talk about the mindful self being right between the brows here in the mind's eye, that point that you tap when you're trying really hard to think of something. Of course, this point in the middle of your forehead across cultures has a lot of significance. So it's no surprise that when I'm asking you to find your mindful self, I'm first asking you to focus on the point between your brows. So after you've found that point between your brows, one thing you can do is to start to breathe and settle in and really try to imagine that your thoughts and your emotions, the noises that you hear in the room, are separate from this sense of self that you have. Email me or message me if you want any more information on mindfulness practice. There are lots of ways to cultivate what you're doing to have a more vibrant mind.